Okay, I think I've unironically actually achieved perfection here with the best and worst possible setup of all time. Because, just look at it, this is 640 by 480 on an HD compatible camera. Like, this has the ability to record in HD if the zoom switch will actually work. Yeah, this is a genuine Sony Handycam. This is specifically my HDV deck. I've made a video about it in the past. But on the flip side, we also have HD levels of audio. And we also have crispy audio from probably the newest part of the entire setup here, the Yeticaster. Yeah, and we also are using QuickTime Player 7, because for some reason QuickTime 10 just decided to not want to do this. Like, why is this working with QuickTime Player 7 but it's not working with 10? So specifically, I wanted to capture all of this audio nonsense. So the Yeticaster, the Mac itself, and I also want to monitor the audio itself, because how else am I going to watch the video, right? I need to listen to it. QuickTime Player 7, even though it's in standard definition, like it can update this in real time. It doesn't have any slowdown at all, yet for some reason, whenever I set the audio sources in QuickTime Player 10, it was just like, whoops, sorry. Now, it might be just because this is a ridiculous setup that probably no one ever tried to do back in the day, and once it was possible, everyone switched over to OBS. Ironically, not supported on macOS Lion. This is such a weird, ridiculous setup, but you know what? We're gonna roll with it. But if you want to see more about like this physical setup here, then let me know in the comments below, because I spent probably like an hour trying to troubleshoot the stupid line in thing, because for some reason, whenever I went into the audio MIDI setup, which one was it? I think it was this one. It's had this set to like negative 40 dB, and I was like, why is this not capturing audio? So, yeah. If I did this 10 years ago, everyone would complain about the video quality being terrible, but now it's actually an aesthetic choice. This is by design, right? Also, it's a good excuse to make use of my Sony Handycam again, and not just iPhone audio or iPhone video, sorry, not, you know what I mean. Anyways, today's video is all about Hugh Jeffreys and, I guess, more iPhone content. So, let's see, let's enhance here. This is actually a new upload. If I refresh the page here, it's probably like half an hour now. So yeah, this is a newer upload as of when I'm recording this. I was looking to see what I should actually react to next, and here we have a new upload. By the way, he is at 997,000 subscribers, so he's almost at 1 million. That's awesome to see. CPU usage this time has increased more because we are actually capturing video directly on the Mac itself. But because this is a pro workstation machine, it is still just, it's working fine. Like, it is not having any problems at all. We are using 3.5 or 3,519 megabytes out of the 32 gigabytes available, but the RAM shortage doesn't exist in this dimension. Based on the thumbnail alone, it definitely looks like he got a lot of cool different models. So let's see, an iPhone 7 Plus, an iPhone 7, a couple of iPhone 6 or potentially 6S's, some older iPhones, which are of course Steve approved as always, an iPad, and he even has another thumbnail here, which is even more interesting, Apple working not locked.
While perusing Facebook Marketplace one evening, I came across a series of listings by one seller, consisting of bulk lots of devices. They'd been up for a few days, so many were sold or pending. Many of the devices in these listings were quite old, with the exception of this lot, which despite...
So probably an iPad Air here, because first generation still had the home button. This looks like an original iPad. iPods, can't go wrong with that. And a lot of different iPhones here, which honestly, it's always nice to have more iPhones.
Despite being up for 2 days, no one seemingly wanted it.
No one wanted this?
I had some newer Apple devices and everything was supposedly unlocked and working. What could
Well, that makes it even better. You don't have to just use it as ports.
possibly go wrong? So I met up with the seller in a car park late at night and he handed me this, a Coles bag full of old devices.
Let the unboxing begin.
I had to take his word that they were all unlocked and not stolen or something nefarious. Judging by the amount of phones he was selling and the age and condition, I'm guessing he ran a repair shop and these were trade-ins or e-waste. This lot consists of 11 iPhones, 3 iPads, 4 iPod Touch and 2 iPod Classic.
Like, at this point, considering the prices of the normal iPods, like just by themselves, this has already probably paid for itself. Of course, chances are you may need to replace the battery on these older devices depending on usage and just how cooked they are, but still.
I was confident to get a return on my money if just one of the classic iPods worked,
There you go.
as these will sell in the range of $100 to $140 depending on spec.
It's kind of crazy how everything just goes in a circle. Same with like the CRT monitors. They were considered old and outdated by the time they were replaced by LCDs, and now they're valuable again. Same goes with the older iPods and probably at this point some of the early iPhones, but it does help that there were a lot of them made back in the day.
Let's see what works and how much potential return I could make out of these. I'll keep track of that up in the left corner. The first device, an iPhone X, is in pretty good condition around back. The front is quite chipped, however we'll take a closer look at that in a minute.
I mean, so far it looks great considering there's nothing wrong with the display. It looks like there's probably an old screen protector that he could swap out for a new one, and if it actually did its job, then it might be a pretty close to flawless display.
Once it's booted, you can see it's already been reset. Take your bets now, is this phone activation locked? I was skeptical,
Already off to a great start. No iCloud.
but it has no activation lock. We're off to a really good start.
I mean, the 10 itself is still a fantastic device, so to have it without any iCloud, technically you could bypass it because it does have the hardware exploit, but it's always great when there's no iCloud.
To make things even better, as soon as I saw the setup had an eSIM screen, I knew this wasn't an iPhone X. This was an iPhone XS.
Whoa.
It's a 10S.
A 64GB to be exact, with 73% battery health, so it could do with a new battery. Face ID works, but the charge port could certainly do with a clean.
Just amazing. So far off to a great start.
I think in its current condition we could get $100 for it easily in 2026 based on the sold listings I found on eBay, which will be the basis of my estimated prices going forward. As for the chip screen, it was nothing but a damaged
What a score.
screen protector. The phone itself is in perfect condition. The next phone we'll be taking a look at is this iPhone 11, cracked on both the back and front.
So automatically already worse than the 10S itself.
It's a little worse for wear, but does it still work?
Whoa. 2 for 2?
No way. Another one.
I mean, it's good that he got a hold of this because I'm sure he could definitely fix up the usable devices because this is only the second device.
I'm starting to think this marketplace seller has actually sold me unlocked phones. I was fully expecting a box of locked phones with the possibility of only getting some old iPods working.
Okay, that's a really good condition 7 Plus.
Next is an iPhone 7 Plus in lovely rose gold.
Minus the display, of course, but still, the aluminum itself, that's basically brand new.
However, with a shattered screen. That in
Come on.
itself isn't a hard fix like the iPhone 11's back glass would be. But just as I was thinking the seller has sold me a
Ooh.
bag full of unlocked phones, this one isn't reset. It's full of someone
Hopefully-
else's data.
Hopefully there's no account, but unsure about this one.
It's a 128GB model,
No. What a shame.
however it's signed into someone else's iCloud account, so it's not unlocked and cannot be reset, making it only good for parts.
I mean, still, the housing itself, that's still it's perfectly usable for a replacement because it's in fantastic shape. That's the risk of taking a lot like this.
Hopefully we don't get any further
Let's see, glass back, but still has the iPhone font. That is the iPhone 8.
locked phones. So let's take a look at this iPhone 8. The back is cracked and will certainly impact its overall value, but it does work and is
Okay, let's see. No iCloud?
thankfully unlocked from iCloud and appears to be in otherwise fully working condition.
Even with the 7 Plus, this is like still a fantastic deal.
I think $42 would be an achievable price for a phone like this one. Proceeding is
Okay, that's at least an iPhone 12 because it doesn't appear to have the rounded corners of the 11 series.
the newest phone in the bunch, an iPhone 12 Pro.
So far, it doesn't seem like there's any damage on the screen. Actually, there might actually be something right here.
It is cracked, which is a real shame as it's very difficult and time consuming to
So it's not terrible, but obviously it's not perfect.
replace. The display is also quite scratched and has a small hairline crack in the top left corner. It's probably not worth replacing in this condition and just something to put up with. Powering it up, I was disappointed to see it hadn't been reset, and I think you can guess why.
Ooh.
iCloud. It's a 128
Dang.
gig with 88% battery health. While I started to get somewhat suspicious why someone had sold phones with data from different owners, I discovered a clue. Using a third-party website, as Apple removed theirs almost a decade ago, activation lock is showing as off despite what the phone is telling me.
I think I've actually seen some devices say they have no iCloud, but when you try to reset it, what do you know? It actually has iCloud. It might be a server-related thing. If it's truly removed from the servers, then we have a working iPhone 12.
I think this strongly confirms my theory of these being traded in devices. iCloud has been switched off remotely. If it was lost or stolen, it would have been marked as such. No owner would remove it from their account otherwise. And out of the devices we've seen so far, most have worn batteries or other minor faults which someone might trade their device in for.
This is always the most nerve-wracking part because if it has iCloud on the device, but supposedly it doesn't have it on the servers, I mean, in theory, you should be able to just reset it.
I can connect the phone to Apple Configurator. Once I had it connected, I could use Configurator to send a reset command which ignores the iCloud account on the phone and forces a reset. Once reset, we're greeted with a scary iPhone is locked to owner message, which makes your stomach drop.
Audible sigh of relief. That is, at least it did unlock.
Ta-da! But it's just the phone retaining the previous account. Once we attempt activation, it'll ping Apple's servers and see that it is unlocked and able to activate.
Well, that's good to know.
Next, we have an iPhone.
Obviously, one is a 6S, but the other one, he's covering up the iPhone logo, so
iPhone 6 and 6S.
6 and 6S. But, I mean, you can clearly see, if it wasn't for the S indicator on the back, visually, there really isn't that much you can tell apart from both of these models.
This iPhone 6S is unlocked and in working condition.
Nice.
Although I thought it had Wi-Fi issues as it didn't initially find nearby networks. It's a 64GB model on iOS 15.8.
Still nice to have 64 gigabytes.
The 6 was also unlocked, however has 2 cracks on the screen and is only a 16GB model with 80% battery.
Even though the 16 gigabyte models are only 16 gigabytes, I actually do use a 16 gigabyte version as a camera sometimes, and usually it's just enough to record an entire video. I guess I need to make a stockpile of more low-end iPhone 6s because they honestly do make pretty decent cameras.
The overall value of these devices is quite low, but adding to that total will be this iPhone 7. It's got some scratches around back, but it's in otherwise good condition. It's unlocked.
It just keeps getting even better and better.
Oh, and we have another one. Has working fingerprint and is a 32GB model, with the only issue being iOS reporting that the health of the battery is significantly degraded, at 92%.
What?
Up next is another iPhone 7, this time in gold, and it's in perfect condition. But like the
Ooh.
iPhone 7 Plus and 12 Pro, it wasn't reset. I realize the owner is responsible for wiping a device prior to trading it in or recycling, but there's something not right about selling someone else's phone with their data still on it.
Is that straight up the login information? What?
And it having no passcode. I tapped on the Notes app to find the first thing to appear was the Apple ID password in plain text.
No way.
Yes! No way! Let's put in reset
That's
iPhone.
crazy.
Erase all content and settings.
This will allow me to wipe the device through settings. And just like that, we have another iPhone 7.
I mean, what are the chances?
With the majority of phones now tested, it's time for the remaining iPods and iPads.
Ooh.
Starting with the best two, the reason I bought this lot in the first place, the iPod 5th and 7th generation. Let's plug in the 7th generation first. It powers on, but
Okay, usually it's either going to have a hard drive issue or a battery issue. At least that's like the most common things to change in the first place, because, I mean, as cool as the hard drives are in iPods, they are still mechanical hard drives.
boot loops and occasionally shows the Restore with iTunes screen. Judging by all the clicking coming from the hard drive, it's a goner. But with a new drive or flash card conversion, this iPod will work again.
I mean, there really isn't that much to go wrong in terms of these iPods in the first place.
I was worried the 5th generation was going to be the same, as it too kept boot looping. But it turned out to be nothing more than a very flat battery. After giving it a good charge, it's working perfectly.
Nice.
Although a new battery and flash conversion would be recommended. Despite their age, they can still fetch really good prices. They help bring the total to $675. The touch-based iPods are practically worthless in comparison to the click-wheel models.
That makes it easier for me to actually get more iOS devices, because if they're worthless, then that means the collection can be iPod times infinite.
Despite being newer and having more features. They just don't have the easy repairability and upgradability that the classic
True.
iPods do.
Definitely
This 4th
true.
generation was once owned by a local library. It's now stuck in recovery mode. I first attempted a restore with Apple Configurator to find the progress bar not to progress, and eventually failed.
Yeah, usually with these older devices, I exclusively use iTunes. Very rarely I will use the Finder app within Big Sur if all else fails, but you can't go wrong with iTunes.
I tried again on another computer using iTunes to find the restore to complete, leaving us with a basic, but working 8GB iPod Touch 4
What'd I tell you? iTunes always works.
with some dead pixels. Another iPod Touch 4 in the lot was
Ooh, that one actually has a case. Nice.
also an 8GB, with some gross staining running down one side.
Ooh, that's not as nice.
The only particularly interesting thing about this one is that it hasn't been updated from iOS 4.
Ooh, nice. 4? iOS 4 on the 4th gen? So that's basically still the factory version. I think it was actually 4.1. That was the release version, but still, iOS 4? That's great to have on an iPod like this.
As for the grime under the case, I wasn't too keen on finding out what it was or cleaning it. I should really wear gloves for these videos. Maybe next time.
Honestly though, that's actually in really good condition. It seems like the case itself helped out a lot.
It was really stubborn to remove, and I'm not sure what it was, maybe blood or just some kind of food. Either way, the back of this iPod is in great condition with minimal scratches after cleaning. Speaking of scratches, have a look at this 64 gig model.
What?
It's well used.
Okay, 64 gigs? I mean, I'd probably still use it in this condition just because if something happens to it, I wouldn't care about it because it's already, like,
Speaking
from
of scratches,
this
have a
to this.
look at this 64 gig model. It's well used, and I had a bit of trouble connecting the 30-pin cable, but with a bit of persuasion, it connected. It hasn't a lot of apps, but it's crammed full of music. 4,325 songs to be exact.
1,000 songs in your pocket times 4.
Which looks like I have plenty of new music to listen to, which I think is the best part of buying old iPods.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, that's part of why I have so many random songs in my iTunes library that I have still yet to really go through properly. Some of which I've personally added myself, so they're completely organized.
There was a few other older devices too, including an iPhone 3G, which for some reason had a flathead screw used to hold the screen on.
Wait a second, what? The older, the 3GS and I believe the 3G actually do use Phillips screws, but seeing it on just a random flathead, that's crazy.
Including an iPhone 3G, which for some reason had a flathead screw used to hold the screen on.
Unfortunately, it does also have damaged plastics. Like this right here is a very common issue on the 3G and the 3GS. Fortunately, all of my 3GSs are in, for the age, it's basically as good as they can possibly be. I don't have any broken plastics.
It works and has Cydia, but it doesn't open, possibly because it's an tethered jailbreak.
I mean, fortunately with these older devices, you don't really have to worry about iCloud at all, so you can just easily reset this. But based on the fact that it has the iPod icon, this is... Wait, let's go back to the home screen.
Cydia, but it doesn't open, possibly because it's an tethered...
Okay, it had the lock icon up here, so that means it's at least iOS 5 or older.
jailbreak.
Yeah, it had the YouTube icon as well.
There was also a second generation iPod Touch, which has its fair share of scratches to both the back and front.
Even though these, like the second gen is basically like, in some cases, a brick, they are honestly really solid music players. Like the second gen and especially the third gen. Now, I would say that the fourth and the newer gens are peak iPod Touch, but if you just want like a classic iPod Touch experience, like no cameras, no extra functionality, the third and the second gen are fantastic. I mean, the first gen is also awesome, but they're all awesome, right?
And even more unidentified grime I had to get off.
Unidentified. That iPod really has seen a lot of scratches, though.
A gem amongst these older devices turned out to be this iPhone 4S.
It looks like the antenna itself is kind of doing a weird... I don't know what this is. But otherwise, it seems to be in pretty good shape.
I normally wouldn't have given it too much of a thought, but it's running iOS 5, the original iOS version that shipped on the 4S. Apple devices typically can't be downgraded once updated, so Apple fans or collectors will take interest in this one. So it's something that will sell and likely be repaired by someone.
Honestly, not a bad find.
I think we should get $22 for it. As for the iPads, we have 3 in total.
Oh, so it's not a first gen. It looks like it's a second gen, or I guess second through fourth generation because they all shared the same design.
A mini first generation, an Air, and an iPad 4.
iPad 4 because it has the lightning connector.
The mini one has a horrid case on it, which is going straight in the bin. It powers up, but has an issue we haven't seen in the slot so far. It's passcode locked. Based on the serial number, it's also activation locked. Thankfully, it's only a first gen mini, which...
First gen mini is actually a pretty fun device to use, especially with downgrading and jailbreaks, but yeah, if it's locked...
Which are basically worthless anyway, so I'm not writing any value down as it's just e-waste. The iPad Air may still have a little value, but not much, especially since the minimum app versions typically require newer iOS versions.
Again, these older devices, like the older iPads here, they might be e-waste, and to some extent they physically are, but if you use it with old apps, jailbreaking, like sideload apps onto it, like older versions of apps that were available back in the day, and chances are they actually might run better compared to newer versions because in many cases, you don't necessarily have to use a subscription with a lot of the older apps.
There's a colorful pressure mark on the display which indicates to me the battery has started to expand.
Okay, well that's actually not good though.
The last device in this lot is an iPad 4 64.
Okay, it looks pretty bad, but I can already tell that it's a screen protector, so If he removes it and changes it for something else, then yeah, it'll probably be actually pretty decent display.
Gig. Unfortunately, it's another one that hasn't been reset and is still linked to someone's account.
Ooh.
Otherwise, it's in perfect condition.
That's a shame.
But I found out a possible reason why this account wasn't signed out. The digitizer has some serious issues, which makes entering passcodes almost...
What?
The digitizer has some serious issues, which makes entering passcodes almost impossible.
It's a shame because the iPad 4 is actually a pretty awesome device. Last of the 32-bit only iPads. Even though that's a limitation in some ways, it's an advantage when you want to run the really old versions of apps.
But with an iCloud account, this iPad is worthless.
Yeah,
if you're looking for a way to test all the major functions of a used phone, test it with iTest. Not only does it give you an easy way to test a display for touch and burn-in, but it has loads of other tests too, including sensors like gyroscope and compass, hardware like cameras, vibration, and NFC.
I've never personally tried out his app, but from what I've seen in the footage here and in previous videos, it does seem like a really awesome tool to have with whenever you're actually testing out these devices.
It's even able to check for spoofed hardware info common on cheap no-name apps.
System reported 1 terabyte, and it found only 24 gigabytes.
Android phones. Check it out on the App Store and Google Play. So this is it. A Facebook Marketplace phone and tablet lot I paid just $70 for has a potential return of $800, which is around 1,150 Australian dollars. And I think I was quite conservative with some of the prices, using eBay's recently sold section to estimate all of them. That's a profit of over $700 US. It's amazing how fast it adds up. It's enough to buy the new MacBook Neo.
If I had to choose, I'd probably keep all the older devices and just use them as cameras.
With some basic battery replacements, I could raise some of the prices, but the time and repair costs would also need to be factored in. While I was skeptical buying sight unseen by purely taking the seller's word and meeting him in a public place, there was no way I could get my money back if I got scammed. But the risk paid off. I will fix up some of the newer devices, but the remaining will go up for sale. So if you're looking for a cheap device to repair, keep an eye out on my store over the next few weeks. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffreys video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and check out the Tech Lot playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Nice. Honestly, I'm really glad that he was able to get a good deal with this because it's always a chance, right? That's part of the fun. You don't know, like, even though it's not specifically listed all the specifications of all the devices, he got a really good deal on this, and if it was me, I would keep all of these and use them as different cameras because that's what I've been doing really, apart from today's video because obviously Handycam. Like, I regularly use a 5S, an iPhone 6, an iPhone 4. It probably sounds insane, right? Because most people just use one camera and stick to it, but I basically just film one project on one device. It makes it easier to manage the video files, alright? I don't have to use SD cards when I can just use a separate device. Because we are using QuickTime, I can just easily save the video footage here. But overall, this was a really solid video. But be sure to check it out for yourself. I'll have it linked down in the description below. And if you want to see even more reaction videos, and specifically in this, whatever you want to call it, format, because I just wanted to make it easier to edit because the desynced audio on the last video was manageable, but man, it took way more time than it should have. So hopefully the 640 by 480 video can help us with this because, I mean, who doesn't love good standard definition videos from time to time, right? But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, then consider leaving a thumbs up. And if you want to see even more reaction content, then leave a comment down below. I'm interested to hear what you guys thought about this. And if you also have any suggestions as to what I should react to next, then also leave that in your comment below. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.